Jai Sri Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, prayers by Queen Kunti and Parīkṣit saved. Here in the verse 37, Queen Kunti is addressing to Lord Sri Krishna that, "O my Lord, you have executed all duties yourself. Are you leaving us today? Though we are completely dependent on your mercy and have no one else to protect us. Now, when all kings are at enmity with us." So here it is mentioned that अप्यधाय न स तवं स्वकर्ते तो प्रभो जिहासासि भीतो श्रुध निर्जीविनः यसान चाद्यद भवतो पद्मभुजजात परायणं राजसु yogin tamanasam. So here the purport is the Pandavas are most fortunate because with all good luck they were entirely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. In the material world, to be dependent on the mercy of someone else is the utmost sign of a misfortune. But in the case of the transcendental relations with the Lord, it is the most fortunate case when we can live completely dependent on Him. The material disease is due to thinking of becoming independent of everything, but the cruel material nature doesn't allow us to become independent. The false attempt to become independent of the stringent law of nature is known as material advancement of experimental knowledge. The whole material world is moving on in this false attempt of becoming independent of laws of nature, beginning from Ravana, who wanted to prepare a direct staircase to the planet of heaven, down to the present age. They are trying to overcome the law of nature. They are trying now to approach distant planetary systems by electronics mechanical power, but the highest goal of human civilization is to work hard under the guidance of the Lord and become completely dependent on Him. The highest achievement of a perfect civilization is to work with the whole, but at the same time depends completely on the Lord. The Pandavas were the ideal executor of this standard of civilization. Undoubtedly, they were completely dependent on the good will of Lord Sri Krishna, but they were not the ideal parasites of the Lord. They were all highly qualified both by personal character and by physical activity. Still, they always looked for the mercy of the Lord because they knew that every living being is dependent by the constitutional position. The perfection of life is therefore to become dependent on the will of the Lord. Instead of becoming falsely independent in the material world, those who try to become falsely independent of the Lord are called anantha, anartha, or without any guardians. Anatha. Where, whereas those who are completely dependent on the will of the Lord are called sananta, or those who having someone to protect them. Therefore, we must try to be sananta so that we can always be protected by the unfavorable condition of the material existence. By the dueling power of external material nature, we forgot that the material condition of life is the most undesirable perplexity. The Bhagavad Gita therefore directs us 7.19 that after many birth, one fortune person become aware of the fact of Vasudeva is all in all, and that the best way of leading one's life is to surrender unto him completely. That is the sign of a Mahatma. All the members of the Pandavas family were Mahatmas in the household life. Maharaj Yudhishthira was the head of these Mahatmas, and Queen Kunti Devi was the mother. The lesson of the Bhagavad Gita and all the Puranas, specifically the Bhagavad Purāṇa, are therefore inevitably connected with the history of the Pandava Mahatmas. For them, separation from the Lord was just like the separation of a fish from water. Srimati Kunti Devi therefore felt such separation like a thunderbolt, and the whole prayer of the queen is to try to persuade the Lord to stay with them. After the battle of Kurukshetra, although the inimical king were killed, their sons and the grandsons were still there to deal with the Pandavas. It is not only the Pandavas who were put into the condition of enmity, but all of us are always in such a condition. And the best way of living is to become completely dependent on the will of the Lord and thereby overcome all the difficulties of the material existence. So here it is clearly mentioned that those who are completely dependent to the supreme personality of a Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, by the mercy of the supreme personality, by the mercy of the supreme personality, he will get protected by himself. Jai Jagannath, Jai Sri Krishna.